Occupying a small plateau to the northeast of Stirling Castle lies Moat Hill, known today as the Lower Gowan Hill. The site of an early Pictish settlement, it's now home to two captured Napoleonic cannon, pointing out over Stirling Bridge and the River Forth to the Abbey Craig, where William Wallace and Sir Andrew de Moray massed their troops before their victory over the occupying English army in 1297. The ancient beheading stone is mounted close by on a distinctive stone plinth under an iron cage designed by John Allen, one of the city's foremost Victorian architects. Beheading was a punishment reserved for those of aristocratic birth or guilty of high treason, often both, their rank rewarded by a quick death, courtesy of the executioner's axe. One such was Murdo Stewart, Duke of Albany, who had ruled as regent of Scotland during the 18-year English imprisonment of James I, appointing members of his close family to positions of power and authority. When the young king returned to his homeland, he was quick to take bloody revenge on those he believed had taken advantage of his absence. Condemned for his mismanagement of the kingdom, the former regent was beheaded with members of his family on Moat Hill on the 24th of May, 1425. Long thought lost, the beheading stone was rediscovered sunken into the sod nearby the Old Stirling Bridge in 1887. It had been used by several generations of local butchers for dehorning sheep carcasses. Rescued by the Stirling Natural History and Archaeological Society, it was restored to its original home on Moat Hill the following year. Local rumour has it that the cage was placed over the stone to prevent the angry butchers from stealing it back. The Thieves' Pot. Only a few short sections remain of the 16th century borough wall, built to hold back the armies of King Henry VIII of England. One is still open to the public and can be accessed through the Thistle Shopping Centre. A winding spiral staircase leads visitors deep down into the Bastion, a 16th century guard room complete with Thieves' Pot, a subterranean bottle dungeon into which miscreants and mischief makers might be thrown by the town guard. The Bastion once loomed over the lowest section of the borough wall, but it was buried beneath the streets of Stirling as the town expanded in later centuries. A similar defensive tower, the ruined Gunpowder Battery, is still visible on the ruined back walk. In later centuries, the wall provided no defence against English Roundhead forces which occupied Stirling in 1651, or the Jacobite army of Prince Charles Edward Stuart, which besieged the borough in January 1746. The Thieves' Pot was still in use as late as 1706, when the Little Brothers, a pair of notorious thugs, were detained here briefly while the finishing touches were added to the cells of Sir William Bruce of Kinross's new Tolbooth in Broad Street. The Hangman's Entry and Gallows Mauling. A bricked-up doorway on the back walk between the rear-facing walls of this prison and the youth hostel next door is all that remains of the Hangman's Entry. From here until the end of the 18th century, criminals sentenced to hang would be marched from their cells and courtrooms of the Tolbooth onto the narrow pathways beyond the borough wall. The condemned were thus symbolically expelled from the community to the gallows mauling, the location of the public gibbet, or gallows tree. This was described by Victorian historian William Drysdale in his book Old Faces, Old Places and Old Stories of Stirling, published in 1899, as a wooden beam fixed in a large stone, with a crossbar at its top and a number of hooks fixed thereon. The unfortunates had to ascend one ladder and the hangman another, and, after adjusting the rope, he would push the culprits off to their fate, and then be removed from the ladder. The condemned were slowly strangled as the ladders were pulled away from them. The luxury of a quick death from a broken neck would not be available to Stirling's villains until the first drop gallows was erected here in Broad Street in 1820. The last hanging in the mauling was that of forger John Smart in 1788. The Market Cross. Punishment was a very public affair for the citizens of Stirling. It was not enough that convicted criminals were fined, whipped, or even executed. They had to be shamed before the whole town first. Imprisonment was rare. Justice, swift, and punishment was public. For over 800 years, until the mid-19th century, punishments were carried out at the weekly market day at the Market Cross in Broad Street. Every citizen was encouraged to attend and witness the consequences of crimes against their community.